What's up, people? It's me. I'm back with the bad vocals again. Man, I just adjusted that filter. Alright, well, let's get some stuff going here. So, earlier I tried to do this social hour thing, and YouTube just ate it. I don't know where it is. They just flat out ate the replay, so sorry, none of you will be seeing that. Please accept my apologies for the convenience. So hey, this is me. I'm Gary D, your host and curator, designer, developer, inventor of Drone Sound TV, and love the bot behind Drone Sound TV, which runs on the Raspberry Pi, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. You heard all that before. On the screen tonight, you see, now it's actually a little hard for me to see. I have to like turn my head halfway around, which at my age is quite an undertaking. I'm just kidding. And see if okay, yeah, I'm live at least. Alright, so on the right hand side of the screen you see a code window. If you're running around here before, you know that means we're probably going to be doing code tonight, because there's some stuff I gotta fix, and also something I wanted to do. I was talking about it earlier in the long lost social hour show that I just mentioned. Anyways, so I'm wait, where's my chat window? Oh, there we go. I lost my own chat window. So anyways, that's me. I'm on the screen. You can see my avatar on the screen, I think, down in the corner. See where there's a little picture of me saying hi. So just consider that my webcam. Alright, and in a minute I really got to go over there and adjust this filter. I mean, my voice is low enough already. Hold on. The problem I have is my headphones are really ratty, and I keep forgetting to replace them until I hear like a really bassy sound in them. Then they rattle like crazy, so I can't tell if you're hearing that rattle or if it's just me. Anyways, as I said before, this is me, Gary D, also known as Master Monkey. That's my stage name. And we're doing a code sesh, I think. What did I sit down? Oh, right. So, anyways, again, I'm going to say, like I was saying before, check out the panel system. The panel system is kind of new, rather an extension of the old panel system. But just type panel in the chat, and like everything around here, you'll get instructions on what to do next. And so it informs you that there are 4 panel areas on the screen. Upper left, which is designated as UL, panel UL. So upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right. That probably seems pretty obvious. It's divided into 4 quadrants. You don't see, but I'm like indicating with my finger on my screen right now, which is not very helpful for you, I know. But imagine there was like a plus sign in the middle of the screen, except it extended all the way to the edges of the screen. All of the lines did, and it cut it into 4 quadrants. Also, there's a 5th panel in the center of the screen called center. And so you're like, this all sounds very abstract, monkey. Why? And, well, okay, I'll show you. So in the upper left, at the moment, there's a thing in that corner called smash. How do I know? You can just type panel UL, which is short for upper left. I'm going to make an alias, too. You know what? Maybe I'll do that. There's also a bug I gotta fix about the webcam. I'll probably make an alias so that you can say panel upper left if you are speaking to your phone, because UL like doesn't come across very easily. But so, and it says right there the response. You probably won't see it there, but in a moment you will, and you'll see why. It says panel UL is currently smash. And it says type panel list for a list of other options. Panel list. And then it says then panel UL and then the name that you want to change it to. So when you type panel list, you get a list of options for things that you can put in these quadrants. I did discuss this a bit earlier, but we're probably going to dig into that a bit anyways. What you're looking at is a listing of executable files in the mod sandbox panels directory. They can be all kinds of, any kind of executable file you like. When I perform the file asterisk command in that directory, I get a variety of responses. There are some POSIX shell scripts, there is an ASCII Perl script, there is an ASCII Python script, so whatever language you're comfortable with using. And each of the scripts in that directory has one job and one job only, that is to respond with some HTML, which will be placed on the screen. So let's see that in action, shall we? In the chat, I am typing panel UL time, as time was one of the options listed on the panel list command. And and you may just barely be able to see it, but in the code window there, you'll see when I run the time script, if I just run it directly, when I run it directly, it outputs some HTML. So I think you get what's going on here. When you run the panel command, a configuration file is written. What is the name of that file? Mod sandbox panel.ul? Yeah. Which indicates the contents of that panel, what the contents should be. So now if I, for instance, say panel LL time, incidentally there is a space between each of these designators, so panel space LL space time space. But I mean, that probably went without saying, but just to be clear. So you'll see that there's now the time is shown in both lower corners. Now it's phenomenally boring at the moment to see that because it is currently 0007 over here. It happens to be 7 minutes after midnight. There's not much to look at on the screen. And this is a very plain one, just meant to serve as an example of, like maybe the simplest possible panel. But others are far more advanced. For example, let's see, I don't know, we'll just take one step up, the diagram panel. So you'll see that, I'll run it again for you in the code window. And you'll see it spits out about a paragraph worth of HTML. Let's see what that produces on the screen, shall we? I do panel UL diagram. Yeah, panel space UL space diagram. And it shows that diagram on the screen, which is mostly actually an inside joke. I cranked that out one night here on the stream when I was delirious. But it is currently actually the most up-to-date system diagram. Let us take a moment to examine that, shall we? Well, it's very difficult to do, Monkey, because that is quite small. Well, let's put it in the center panel then. In fact, first, I'm going to change the upper left panel to, I kind of cheated. I used the back end to find out what panels were available. I'm going to change it to the chat panel, which is just an echoed listing of the chat activity. You don't see me typing in chat, I just realized, because I didn't have that on the right part of the screen. And now I do. It's weird because my monitor burned out, and I finally got a new monitor, and it's like, I swear it must be almost twice as wide as my old monitor. And I have to get used to, for one thing, that my remote code windows don't entirely fit on the screen anymore. And also like this, like literally having to turn my head to look at another window. That's kind of a trip for me. So, alright. Where was I? Alright, so the chat window's on the screen. Let's put the diagram in the center using the panel space center space diagram syntax. Some of the other panels that are available, in fact, I'll just read through them, include B-time, which is short for blue time. We'll play with some of them. Daytime, diagram, GIF, infos, which is not a typo typo because it is a multiple informational displays. News, none, which is what it sounds like, nothing. Notes, shout, time, webcam, oh yeah, webcam, we're going to get to that. P time, which is a pink time. Smash, which is a crazy GIF thing we'll play with. Tips, which is a selection of tips. It's actually the same thing you get if you run the tips command in chat. So any of these, of course, obviously have access to the other bot commands, so they can run, you know, any combination of bot commands or whatever internal commands that they want to do to generate the HTML. Okay, so there's the system diagram. In fact, it is a little bit hard to see because of all the crap I have on the screen. So let me clear this. Maybe if I cover this up, it'll be easier to look at. And in fact, you know what, I really should take that panel away now that I've done that. Say panel upper left, in fact, I'll just change it to none. Panel lower left, I'm going to change to B time, because I told you I would show you what that looked like. Anyways, now you see what that looks like. Okay, so the diagram. Let's see, take a look at this diagram. Right now, OBS is sending the stream data, and that's probably the biggest final hill to take in this battle to create this. I don't know how I came up with a military analogy. I'm a pacifist, but in the war to make the battle to make this bot real, that's probably the biggest hell of all. So that's really not. I mean, it's on the plate. It's like a larger research project. But the rest of this is already in place, actually. Even though it's hard to see. Essentially, that rather menacing-looking face is my audience, and or any audience, the stream audience, and they communicate with the bot purely through chat and only through chat ever. In fact, the administrator communicates with the bot pretty much exclusively through the chat interface, the YouTube chat interface, which means that YouTube acts as your bodyguard in this regard. Nobody connects directly from the internet to the bot, ever, ever, ever. They always only go through YouTube. So if you do find a way to put in some sort of special characters that you're not supposed to, or circumvent some sort of ban mechanism, then you're really hacking YouTube. So I become the least of your worries at that point. So as you see, everything passes through the YouTube chat, which I have called the YouTube bot there. So that's the conduit. It's checking the chat all the time. It takes the commands and it does some stuff that I'm not going to go into too much detail yet, mostly for security reasons, but also because it's tedious. But it decides what of what you typed in may be a command, and then it dispatches it to various internal engines to handle your desires. So that's the we're over in the upper right hand corner of that diagram. So you see where it says commands star? That's because there's a whole bunch of commands in the commands directory. Even when I use the back end, which I don't much anymore, even the back end is now composed of, to a large extent, front end commands. It's kind of weird. Like the system is at this point kind of made out of itself because it has its own scripting capability. So a lot of this stuff is its own scripting. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Like to clear all of the panels at once, I just say run clear, and that's actually a script inside the panels system called clear. Yeah, there it is. And what does it do but go and clear out all of the extra content on the screen? So that actually, you know what I mean? It's like they kind of built up the tools so that the system is very much built out of its own components at this point. I told you that was a tedious discussion. And that was just half of it. So there's a quick peek at the commands directory. You'll see all the commands that you're used to typing If you're in here, for example, if you type pause, that's what's happening. You're running the pause command. But it's actually independently being run per each user. So every user has their own independent position and everything, and everybody has their own threads going, basically. So all the commands that you're used to seeing, they're all in there. Some of them are invisible. Even many of these are invisible commands that don't show up when you type, what's it called? Help, I think. We'll give you a list of all those commands, but not all of them, not the invisible ones. Poof, there they go. So, okay, we get that part down of the diagram. Oh, I cleared the diagram when I ran the clear command. Let's put that back up. Panel, space, center, space, diagram. Why does it go panel, center, diagram instead of panel, diagram, center? Well, because panel diagram wouldn't mean anything, whereas panel center means I want to know what's up with the panel center, with the center panel. I'm working on making the parsing more flexible, but no, I have no intention of adding a conversational or an LP capability to this. The system runs at 2 point something most of the time already, and it's not even doing the streaming part that OBS is doing right now, and it needs to be able to do that. Oh my crap, it's 397 right now, 3.97, but it's probably doing something right. It's probably loading music, actually. So let me turn that up a bit. Either loading music or downloading new samples from Freesound. Okay, so diagram, right. So the bot figures out if you type something that's in commands, and a few other places. Actually, it's a bit more now if you are in the sandbox theme or any theme. It checks to see if there's a mod directory with the same name as the theme that you are currently using. So there happens to be a mod sandbox directory. If so, then any executables in that directory are also considered, but not necessarily executed. Anyways, we digress. So, let's see, where's that squiggly line I drew several times? Oh yeah, I was right, it was downloading music. That's why the load was crazy high for a minute. But it does typically, nowadays, run around 2 something. Some of that I know what it is, so I can probably cut that down to like 1.5, I think. But that's still not enough room to pile on OBS. So, anyways, not OBS, obviously. OBS is just FFmpeg and a bunch of really bad wrappers. Anyways. So, we're just going to take off the bad wrappers. Ooh, that's pretty funny. So, okay, after that, it goes into this Q directory, right? So, in mod sandbox Q. Well, there's nothing in there right now, because, well, you'll see, that's the intercommunication mechanism between the front end. Well, really the front end is the chat, but let's say the visualization, which is the web page. It's a web page. It's all JavaScript and HTML and CSS and such, whatever as the case may call for. Different themes use different capabilities, but this is the intercommunication mechanism for that. Commands to be executed on the page that do things like, move things around, put panels in places, add 3D objects, do stuff in the 3D sandbox, all that crap. That's all little messages that end up in this directory and get picked up via Ajax and then processed, and then it's a whole thing. I really should write it down. Hey, there's one. Look, for a moment there was one. It was like not even a full second, actually, but long enough for us to see it. And it was called message queue 5741, and then it was gone. So it's already been processed, and it was probably one of these recurring messages that are going to update the panel content, like update the time. You know, that one panel has the time in it, right? So that has to be updated and things like that. Alright, so that's the sandbox queue. That's the part that you can barely see because it's covered by the code window. That's all running on the Raspberry Pi. You see I indicated the Pi. Oh, because there's some Python in there. I said recently all the new tools I've been writing in Python. Not because I want to, but just because, it's fashionable, and if I want people to be able to use it, it needs to be in a contemporary language that they, are comfortable reading. So that's really more the factor. Even though it's over 10 times slower, both to write and to execute, and to debug, and it's error prone, and it's ugly, and it's fat, and it can't keep track of its own threads. But that's for another day. Anyways, all of those are outweighed by the fact that the kids just won't work on it unless it's in their language. So, they won't want it. They'll be very angry with it. Okay, so anyway, so there's some Python in there. HTTP server, now HTTPS for a stupid long story that I'll probably put in another rant. As I said, a CGI-based AJAX, message pseudo command transport mechanism, and that's all in the Raspberry Pi. On the web page, it's all HTML5, CSS3, and three.js, which is super cool stuff you should check out. Also, there's a bunch of jQuery in there, obviously, and some other trips. No, there isn't any other, because that's it, actually. That's all there is. Why did I try to make it seem like there was more? Okay, so let's clearing that out with the panel center none command. And I'm not going to play with the 3D sandbox. You guys know all about that. That's been covered ad nauseum. There's some new stuff though. Run the showcase. Showcase is cool now. It shows three. It's running periodically anyways, but it'll show 3 random models instead of all 64 models that are in the collection and growing. So instead of showing all of them, it just shows 3 randomly and marches them across the screen. So that's more fun to see. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. So this was supposed to be a code sesh. Said there was something I had to fix. What was it? Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's kind of a glitch. Yeah, when, the program responsible for keeping the panels up to date, let's see, I'm going to put in the upper left, oops, I'm doing this on the back end, should be doing it on the front end, panel upper left, infos, and panel lower left, P time. Okay, so, and just for that, panel lower right, smash, which is my favorite, but it's not practical, it's just fun. Alright, so, yeah, here's the deal. Okay, panel update is a program whose job it is, when it is time to update the contents of those panels. It does what you think it would do. It does what you would do if that was your job. You would iterate the quadrants plus the center panel position. You would check those configuration files that I mentioned. Mod sandbox. Oops. Why do I keep typing that with an uppercase? I just switched keywords. Panels. What was I just doing? Panels. All right. No, actually, confusingly, there's a panels directory and also a panel executable, and a panel.ur file, and a panel.ll file, which currently says ptime. If you type panel ll, oops, not panel l, that won't do crap. But if you type panel ll, it'll tell you, I wonder what panel l does, we're going to find out. Nothing. It doesn't even tell you it's an error. See, so some of this is still beta, sorry. Anyways, it just checks the contents of that file and reports to you what it found. In the panel LR file, for instance, you'll find the smash. It just says smash, right? So if you went in there and you got the contents and it said p time, and then you said, okay, run mod sandbox panels p time, and you ran it and you got that output, you would stick it in the LR position. Get it? So it's pretty straightforward. It's not a very complicated program. Panel update was actually dumber than it is now, in that it was updating the panels every time it ran. And that obviously is just wasteful, and there was no need for it. And it was really not even noticeable, mostly because every panel mostly changes every time. But there were some panels that were totally static. Like there's one called shout, panel LL shout. I'll put it in the lower left corner, in the lower left quadrant, and it just shows the most recent shout out. And that doesn't change unless somebody else comes along and types shout out, then their name replaces that name. Otherwise that name doesn't change. There's absolutely no reason to load it over and over again, right? So that bothered me. So I taught panel update to keep track of whether the results of running the content script for that position had changed since the last time it ran that script. And so, just a quick, checksum comparison, and it only updates the panel if it's changed, which is great. The problem is there are a few conditions under which the panel contents have not changed, and yet they need to be drawn on the screen again. And there is no mechanism to force panel update. So I have to write that. I have to add panel update. Now I have to add it to it, the capability. Oh, there's Cookie Monster going by as part of the model showcase I told you about. So just type run showcase if you want to see that sometime if you're bored. Check out some of the models you can make, or that have been made. Yeah, so we have to make panel update yet again a bit smarter. Here's a tip. You should probably most of the time, unless you're really in the, let's call it warp core of your code, unless you're way down in the warp core of your code where everything hinges on, you know what I mean? Like the crux of everything. Unless you're down in that, you probably should be going with the simplest thing that could possibly work. And even then, even in the warp core of your code itself, the simplest thing that could possibly work is still often a very good strategy, because it's safer and it's less likely to be error prone. Less code is less bugs, and yada yada yada, and all that kind of stuff. So hey, greetings to Kazuto World TV, and I think all the TV streams, all the TV bots kind of fam up, So hey, shout outs to live stream bot fam. So let's see. Yeah, Music TV will probably be by in a couple hours. Who knows what his cron job is like, depending on his cron job. Okay, so what was I talking about? All right, so yeah, use the simplest thing that could possibly work. So my instinct is to avoid making panel update any smarter unless I have to. But the time has come, and a panel update cannot be kept to a mere 72 lines any longer. 72 lines, including comments, and probably a bunch of superfluous crap. That's me, by the way. No, it's not. Just thought I'd clear my throat. So let's see. It works about like you think it does, and like I said, all the new code I'm writing in Python, because hey, you get double the shoutouts tonight because it's in two positions. So it works about like you would probably write it yourself. There's an array of panel positions. They are named the same as their configuration files, i.e., here's the array of panel positions on line 9, and it says center UL, UR, LL, LR. Now, if we take a look at let's see, mod sandbox panels, panel dot center. then we see that there is a file there that was modified at 22 minutes after the hour here, local time, PST, GMT -8. So you get the idea. Iterate these and check the configuration files, find out what's in there, run that thing, take the output, stick it in the panel position. Simple. And in programming, that's simple. Okay, that's about as simple as things ever get. What am I doing here? No, the only other thing is there's that checksum that I mentioned, right? So it takes a checksum, and then when it gets the new content, it does a checksum and it compares them. I don't know why I bothered with the checksum. It's just good form to not store the whole content in there. It just doesn't scale well. That means if the content got bigger, then the temporary storage would get bigger, whereas if you use a checksum, then it doesn't matter how big the content gets. God, this is tedious. I know. Geek shit can get tedious. But yeah, we think about this stuff. You better think about this. And apparently, this script just got cut off in transfer. Man, it looks like there was some sort of transmission aborted here or something, because it just ends without ceremony. But that's Python for you. It's like a kid whose attention just wandered off. Oh man, I have really got to do my Python slamming show, where I just slam the crap out of the worst language I've ever seen. A second worst language I've ever seen. Maybe third. Pascal's pretty annoying, but Pascal's got some strengths too, and brevity. Alright, anyways, back to the grind. Where were we? So, Mod Sandbox, as I said, our Mod Sandbox panel update. Responsible for updating the panel content has been backed into a corner, and we are forced to add at least 2 or 3 more lines. As I said, your engineering instinct should steer you away from this, like 99.99% of the time, because 99% of the time the simplest thing that will possibly work is safest and best and just best. Okay? But anyways, I can't put it off longer. And what did I have to teach it to do? Oh, it needs a new argument. It needs an option that if you tell it on the command line to force the update, that it will update it even if the checksums aren't up to date, aren't modified. There's a cheap way to do this. We could delete the checksums. That's stupid and hackerly, though. That's just not the right way to do it. Okie dokie 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 dokie. So, what's the fast way to do this? Well, take an argument and just say it would be faster in other languages anyways. But I guess I'll put it after the functions. I don't know. I'm comfortable declaring functions first, because that's how it should be. In a bunch of other languages, so that's okay with me. I guess you just got to do it if sys .argv is it length? Is it length? Is it length len, or is it dot length? Fucking stupid. Let's see. I'm just going to bash out. That means I go out to bash without leaving vi. What was I just looking for? I'm on like no sleep. I was looking for, oh, the arcs, right. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? I'm gonna find out who this is. It's len. It's len. Len is a function. Len, you're just a function. Man, you ain't nothing but a function, dude. If length argv is less than, is greater than 1, there's always gonna be 1, you know, because it's yourself. So you gotta keep that in mind. Which is counterintuitive. It's gonna confuse people. Anyways. If it is more than 1, then just force update. Oh shit, I don't have a way to to force update. Oh, it says right here, there's a single condition that says if the new sum is different than the old sum. Why should I even do the checksum? Yeah, why even do the checksum? Why do the checksum if, hold up. I don't need this up here. Check this out. Over here, where I was going to do the checksum, I just do this. There's two lines that handle the checksum, right? The checksum comparison. I could just say, hold up. Okay, here's the thing. I'm doing the new checksum first before the old checksum. I don't think there's any reason to do it in that order. So long as it's okay doing it in that order, because the new checksum has to be done. That work has to be done. I need a new checksum in order to compare it next time. But I don't have to compute the old, I don't have to get the old checksum. I don't have to get the old checksum if there's at least one argument. So I can say if len sys.argv. Now, in a lot of languages, I would just leave it there. Wait, no, that would evaluate true all the time. Yeah, I have to do this. It's greater than 1. So in other words, if there are any arguments at all, then do the old sum. No, this logic is backwards. Okay, as long as it's less than 2. I could say equals, but that's more characters. Equals. So if there are no arguments, then get the old checksum for comparison. Otherwise, only compute the new checksum, which you need no matter what. Okay? And, God, that's so ugly, though. I have to put a comment here. Okay, I said compute new checksum no matter what. And in front of the if, I say only get old checksum if no args. Okay? So if no args, then get the old checksum. Otherwise, continue as you were and get the new checksum. Hold up. What happens in Python if you try to compare a variable to a variable that doesn't exist? Is that a runtime error? Because it should just say meh. That's what Perl does. It goes meh. Unless you use strict, I think. Okay. I mean, because how else are you supposed to make a comparison with a variable that may or may not exist? Anyways, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it anyways. Actually, to tell you the truth, it might be broken. It might be broken right now. That's the problem working on a live system. But the whole system's been done this way. It seems to be working. I don't know. It seems comfortable right now. Happy enough for the moment. Okay, so in any case, here to review, it only gets the old checksum, which is in a file, if there are no arguments. Then it's going to need the old checksum in order to perform the comparison and find out if the content is new. In either case, that means I had to skip a line, which is the only way to say and if, and the only way to say in either case, compute the checksum, because you're going to need that no matter what, because you're going to write it to the new file, right? And then I say, and then I need another blank line. God, Python's ugly. Then I say, if the new sum is not equal to the old checksum, right? So I say if the new checksum is not equal to the old checksum, then update the panel. You get it? So providing any arguments at all will cause it to ignore the old checksum, so the old checksum will be 0. And when it tries to do the comparison, that obviously will not match any current checksum, unless the checksum is 0, in which case it doesn't matter, I guess, because the checksum, because the content is 0. Alright, so Actually, the checksum on 0 still would not be 0. In any case, only if it is different will it update the panel, so that logic remains. However, it still needs to update the new checksum in the file. In any case, must update checksum file. Anyways, okay, there we go. The funny thing is, all of the things that what's his name, Guido, that Guido did to make it so you could kind of speak more Englishy, I guess, you know, so you could write code more Englishy. All of those things are offset by the fact that I now have to add extra comments, or it's unclear what's going on in the code. That's a serious frickin' issue, dude. I'm telling you, this language isn't ready. All right, let's see if it works. Actually, I think the visitor, Krikedo Kazuto World TV. Wow, that's pretty fast. I took a year of Japanese. I think he knows whether or not it's working. Sorry if it isn't, by the way. I am literally working on it live in, like, real time. Sometimes I break stuff in real time. Hey, seems to be working. But, oh, wait. How was I going to test this? Why did I add this code? Oh, the camera. Okay, what happens is, here's what happens. The symptom with the old version of the code, and the reason we updated it without even backing it up, by the way. I have no old copy of that code. God, I'm a madman. So, mad monkey. Okay, so, the reason, you know what, just so we don't feel lonely around here, I'm going to run the sim command. This is a secret command. The command is .sim, and it's called sim because it simulates the channel having viewers. And what it does is it takes like the last like 9 people that came to the channel, and it makes it look like they're in the channel down in the chat lobby on the screen, and it's an important command. Okay, so panel update. Panel update is running, and why did I change it? Oh right, the webcam. Here's what happens with the webcam, okay? The webcam doesn't change, but then like if you run a reset or one other command called panel show, which is the new command, and it's supposed to show you the positions on the screen, right? Which I thought was self-evident, but I'm a jerk. I know that, okay? I do know I'm a jerk, so I apologize for being a jerk. But sometimes I'm totally inconsiderate of other people. Like, what, you don't get it? LR, you are LL. What's not to get? Jesus, people. So, I know, I'm a total jerk. In the meantime, I'm completely oblivious to the most obvious social cues and such. So, people are always giving me a little extra rope there. They're like, you know, he's kind of one of those. He didn't mean it, you know, he just doesn't know he's human. He thinks he's a robot. So, it does seem to be working. The symptom with the webcam is that when you run either a reset or the show panels, the panel show command, which again is meant to temporarily indicate the positions on the screen and then restore the panels, it runs panel update after it shows the positions on the screen. And so does reset. Reset runs panel update. But it doesn't matter because the contents of the webcam panel haven't changed. Yeah, the video content has changed, but it doesn't know about that. It's just a video embed, right? So as a result, when you put the webcam in a position, and oh my god, being a geek is tedious, but so to wrap the whole thing up, the symptom was when you put the webcam in a position and you run reset or you run show panels, panel show, the webcam doesn't come back. Other panels do come back because they change, right? But the webcam doesn't come back. So now I have the ability to force panel update to update panels. How did I do that? Oh, provide any argument. So the argument would be like force reload. I mean, the funny thing is it doesn't really matter because any argument will force it to reload, right? Of course, there's no indication. Incidentally, I could tell because it redrew the shout out on the screen, so it does work. Awesome. So I can now force a reload. So all I got to do is in the reset command, which is itself a script, of course. In the reset command, I have to add one of these. It's real simple. I'll just add a force mod, sandbox, panel update, force update. The only thing that's missing is that in the actual script, I just realized in mod sandbox panel update, there's no indication. Oh crap, I've been shelled out the whole time. Thank you for reminding me, Vi. I tried to edit it twice. I was in a shell the whole time out of Vi. When you're in Vi, here's a quick tip. When you're in Vi, if you like only have one window because you're hacking on a machine and you can't open another shell. Anyways, if you're doing that and you don't want to open another shell for whatever reason, you can get yourself a shell from there. Just type colon and a bang bash or whatever shell you want to run, and voila, you'll get a shell. But you will also forget that you're in a shell. To get out of the shell, type exit. If you don't, you might find yourself doing stuff and totally forgetting you're in the shell. That happens to me. So I tried to edit this file again, and Vi said, you're editing that file right now. So, and I was like, oh crap, I'm shelled out. That's what we call shelled out. Okay. All I got to do is add a comment in here. There we go. With no, I have to update the comments. With no args, only updates panels if fresh contents. With any arg, forced updates, no matter. Okay, there we go. At least there's a note in there about how to use it. Because as I said, there's pretty much no documentation. Just my head and the code. And these videos. So, I guess I could test it with the webcam. Forgive me for intruding. I usually try to let users just have their field day with this. This is what the site is for. Just go do whatever you want. Whack it up. Make it look ugly. Make it look crazy. It's a demo site, right? I mean, this is like the test your car at the lot. So like, yeah, take it out, you know, on the industrial part of town. Put the hammer down, you know, do a couple donuts, crank the radio, eat onion rings. Alright, but I'm going to intrude momentarily. I'm going to put the webcam in the center of the screen. Most of the time I try to let just users run the thing. I want them to do whatever they want, but and I don't even interfere. So I'm putting the panel in the webcam in the center panel using the back-end command. Okay, there's that. By the way, if you don't know how to use the camera, you just use the cam command. It'll tell you how to use it, and you can move the camera around like cam 20. Well, I think it's about at 20, but if you move it to 90, you'll see the parts of the Lego project. If we're going to build a robot you can run by remote control like I used to have on Twitch. Anyways, that's the cam command. But, okay, so if this is working properly, okay, I should be able to run reset right now. Sorry, visitor, I'm going to run one quick reset. And I hope you didn't build anything. And yeah, the webcam one, when it's in the center of the screen, it covers up the entire sandbox. So that's kind of annoying. But, I mean, if you wanted to change the layout to fill up the screen, then... Okay, so if this is working properly, the webcam should come back within at least a few seconds on its own. If it's working properly. And it's not working properly. Okay. Why not? Oh, that's not it. I thought it might be a reset command. Alright, I'm going to have to look at this. In the meantime, I'm going to clear the screen and set a sweep for 9999. So that you have lots of room. But I will put a Figlet thing on that says BRB, BRB, BRB. And then I'll be right back. To my visitor, thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm not even concerned with people's motives. I don't care. When you have no viewers, any viewers are nice. Just show up and drop some insults. I don't give a crap. You can even drop thumbs down. It doesn't matter because the stream gets restarted every couple of days. But I seen you around, dude. I remember that name a couple of times. So I'm going to turn the background sound up a bit. I'm going to get some coffee, scratch my head, figure out what I probably did wrong. And usually I have like the whole code in my head, and I don't know why, but I find it's better to debug it in my head. I know this sounds crazy. You're like, why wouldn't you be looking at it? And I don't know. I think it exercises a certain part of your brain that is very useful for debugging. Something about having to recall it. You know, even if you miss something, I don't know, just try it. Try it sometime. Try, instead of printing it out and taking it with you when you need to get away, but you're like, can't, get away from it. You can't stop, but you need to get away. Sometimes I would like print out some problematic part of the code and take it with me, and or whatever, just look at it on the device or whatever. But instead of doing that, like, don't do that, but do the same thing, just using your memory instead. I don't know, it's good practice, and it's a lot of times I come back just knowing exactly what the problem is. So I'm going to do that. I'm taking 15. Play around with stuff. Feel free to mess around with things. I don't know what's up with the webcam. I bet if you run panel center webcam again, it will like restore it. Yeah, it has to. That's when panel update does a force at that point. So, and then I'll come back and figure out what the hell we did wrong. Me. But that should be fun. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll be back in 15. So, here's what I realized while I was away. For someone who went on for like ages about the simplest thing that could possibly work, is that where you got... Oops, I'm on over here. But a few seconds behind. Yeah, so stupid. Why did I do that? And you know what, because I was trying to take the shortest route, and I was still a little new with Python, so I wasn't prepared for the route that it led me down. I didn't see in advance. Okay. What do you guys use? Or? I think with like big letters or something. It's updating the checksum every time. Wait a minute. What was I thinking? And don't update the checksum. Yeah, of course not. Okay, so we don't need that. Yeah, because I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to go get... Yeah, that was the first place I was going to put the decision, actually, right? My initial tendency was to add it here. Let's see if that even parses. Yeah, it does not. 75. What do you guys use for an or? I say you guys. In civilized languages, we use this. I don't expect... I've given up the expectation that Python will be civilized. Yeah, that's not it either. What is it? Underscore or? Sorry. I'm messing with you. Okay, here I'm taking my partial syntax. I turned it into a comment. And then I just leave that. So there you do it quick. I should have the O'Reilly ref, but I just haven't run across it. I'll get one tomorrow. I got the O'Reilly refs for everything else. Yeah, that's right. I need to figure out how I need to remind myself at least. I know I've got some ors somewhere. Or I might not, actually. It's possible I don't. Blah, 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 blah. I need compound conditions. No, I don't want abbreviated. Those are not funny. Noobs get real confused by those. There's a compound condition. How you guys doing, huh? Yeah, nested. Great. Oops, conditional is what I meant to type. Oh, God, I hate Stack Overflow. You guys suck, by the way. Stack Overflow. You don't have compound conditions? Screw you. Oh, you should be using an object. Really? For this? Because you don't have compound conditions. How are you going to do the logic and sat there anyways? I don't want to do Nested shit. Can I binary and them? Can I unary operation? No, it does. What a piece of junk. Can I do? No, I bet that doesn't work. Fuck. Alright. Congratulations, panel update. You're getting, no, you're not. Oh, gruesome. Alright, there's gotta be a better way to do this. This is all syntactical. The logic is totally straightforward. Crap language. Alright, I'll invert this logic here. Only perform that comparison if it's less than 2. Hold on. Because I'm like a sane programmer. There we go. Now nothing else has to change. That should force an update. Well, let's see what's in the center position. It's currently webcam, but it is not currently webcam. Okay, now it's none. Now it's webcam. Okay, so far so good, but that has always worked. Now if I do a reset, you'll note the other panels come back. That's because, you know, their content changes. So their checksums change, so panel update updates. That panel, it only updates the panels that have changed. Okay, there's 1, 2, nothing in the upper right, nothing up my sleeve, should be something in the lower right, and nothing. It didn't do it because the checksum has not changed, and oh, no one ran it with the force argument. Yeah, so it should be like mod sandbox panel update force, or anything, actually, any argument. And it's not working. It's not working. That's okay. Heartbreak is part of life when you're a geek. It is your constant companion. Yeah, the reset won't work if the panel updates aren't working. This is such a simple thing. What the hell? It must be something else. You know what? Something else is happening here, though, too. checksum. If it's changed. Huh. No, it has to update the checksum in either case. It's so weird. I mean, it's like, what's stupid is what I need is this. And I'm like, what's the proper way of doing that in Python that's not hideously ugly? I mean, I guess, you know, I should be reasonable. Of course it's going to be hideously ugly. Come on. Man, we're not miracle workers here. Okay. That worked. If I do a reboot... I mean, reset, not a reboot. System's been up 200 days. Update force. Update. Okay, well, the reset command seems to know what it's doing. Let's try that. Alright. Here goes nothing, as they say. Now, so if this works, the whole sandbox should reset. This is a standard command. It resets the whole theme. And clears out all the sandbox stuff. And it should redraw the panels, which it's already doing now. And it should redraw the fourth panel when the content changes, because I didn't force... Wait. No, it should do that, because I forced it, right? And it should update the webcam too. What's wrong with it? Why? Oh. It did. It's just big. Shit, I'm gonna have to put some sort of like loading thing. Okay. Take out the HTML5 book. There's a thing, I think it's called a marquee? A poster. You could put a poster, which is a placeholder for, that sits there before your, I just ran across this thing that said, add subtitles to your video element. I'm like, subtitles on the webcam could be interesting. Yeah, so you can put something to sit there. Where did I see that? You can make something sit there, you know, until it, here we go. Yeah, it is poster. This attribute allows you to set the attribute of an image you want to use as your video poster board. This image represents your video to the users before it starts playing. This is from Jess Cravens and Jeff Berthoff. HTML5 hacks on O'Reilly Press. You should check it out. Well worth the 30 some odd bucks. And so yeah, I think I should probably add that after I confirm that this works. Okay, so the next thing to do. Okay, the next problem to deal with is the show panels command, which is actually a panel show command. Internally, it's called panel show. Anyways, at the end of its deal, I think it... Does it do something? Oh, no, never mind. This updates the things manually. It does it itself anyways. So, that's gonna happen. Hold on, what does this thing do? Sorry, I had to turn off the mic. I just yawned right into you. Okay, it displays the position, and then nothing. It just waits. Yeah, you know what? It's waiting for it to do that thing that it does so well. Okay, I'm going to put it in the script, actually. So, because what you run is, oh no, you run panels show. Yeah, okay, this belongs in show panels. Alright. Well, hold on. I'm looking for a bit of code that I don't feel like writing yet again. The panel command itself, actually, no, is the one you use to modify it. Panel update is the one that does it. Right. It's the one that actually executes it and takes the output, which I now need to do. And that's how I did it. Subprocess check output. There's like a billion versions of subprocess. Am I shelled out? No. Okay. What file am I? Oh, okay, panel show. Good. Okay, so at the end of panel show, I'm going to crudely force a screen wide panel update by executing this command, which I'm at least I'm going to put it up here as a somewhat civilized. Panel update command is mod sandbox panel update force. There we go. That way, you know, like at least if that has to change later or change the syntax or something. Update command. And I'm not passing it any arguments, and believe it or not, I don't want the output. I will not be surprised if Python has a problem with me not using the output of the command. Alright, let's give it a shot here. Panel show. And it should put these little like primitive placeholders up where the panel positions are. And those are going to be little cards or whatever. They'll have like background styling or something. Okay, there's panel upper right. There's panel center. Panel lower right. Hey! Tad freaking da, man. Wow. I think I needed to wait for a second, though. What do you guys have for sleeping? Let me guess, I have to import a freaking module just to sleep. Time.sleep. Let me guess. Import time. Jesus. You want to know why Python is 10 times slower than the next slowest language? Which is PHP, incidentally. You want to know why? Frick. What? Talk about a fucking cow. Python's not a snake, it's a cow. Sure, why not? That's what you guys do, right? Isn't that that's all the vogue now? You just like, what the hell? All willy-nilly. Yeah, import a million libraries. At least try to put why you're importing it in there, so that you know later if you stop using the sleep command, you can take it out. Okay. So the problem is that those positions do get shown, but you don't have time to see them. So I have to put in a delay. This is really the right place to put it, unless this is also going to be wrapped by a high-level tool, which it kind of is because it's called by the panel command. We digress. So how long shall we sleep? I don't know. It doesn't need to be a variable. Another thing I like to do is if it's a float, I like to put a 0.0 if it's 0.0, so that when I'm looking at it later, I don't have this question, is that a float or an integer? You know, like, is the argument a float or an integer? I don't have to worry about that. Incidentally, it does take floats, right? It does take floats. Yeah, okay, good. Thank you. Alright, that's nice. Okay, let's try this again here. So, in the chat, you just type panel show, and I just realized it doesn't even say anything to you. It's completely impolite. So let's have it do that. Oh, all that does is pass arguments to the thing. Sandbox panel. This is a big program, I suppose. This is pretty much where the rubber hits the road. It does all of the work. It takes your configuration changes. It, you know, does almost no validation. It tells other tools what they need to know about panels, things like that. It tells you what panels are available. And the last and most important thing that it does is, what was it going to do? Oh, it was going to tell you when you run the show command what the heck is going on. The show command is supposed to give you output. It just doesn't. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't need this. I'll take that out for the moment. Instead, I'm just going to directly write, oops, afterwards. I'm going to directly write sys.standardout.write. Now, displaying, I'll just say displaying, because then they want to know, like, is that describing or is that something that's happening now? So I'm going to say now displaying panel positions on the screen. No, on screen. And that's not really correct grammar, but I think it actually works better for people. Okay, there we go. So now the panel show command tells you that it's doing something. That's nice. It usually tells you, like, by name as well. And sometimes other information. I'll just leave it at that. I was going to add some extra tip, but people don't like more words. Okay. I think I'm going to have it respond to them by name if this thing knows names. Yeah, I'm serious. I'm not sure if it has access to their name. It's a whole thing. I don't think it does. Yeah, it doesn't. Alright, never mind. Okay, so, it works. Hey, cool. Cool beans. I got some other issues, like, with the webcam in particular, because it's an iframe. I want to take it out of the iframe, and, but I don't want the chance of, with the way, like, for instance, the force reload here, I don't want the chance of reloading its JavaScript, and I also don't want to build that function, its host functionality directly into the template page. So I don't know, I got to figure out a solution for that. So the net effect of that is when you take the webcam out of the center by doing panel center none, panel space center space none, and you put it in the lower left corner, say for example, panel lower left webcam, panel LL webcam, panel space LL space webcam. When you do that, it doesn't resize. It can't resize. It's in a freaking iframe. What does it know about the size of the parent, right? So it doesn't know. It just gets lopped off. If you put it in the upper left, then it fills up the whole left-hand side of the screen. So, yeah, it's you know, to be worked on. And I could fix it now a couple of different ways, but I don't like any of the ways I've come up with so far. So I'm just going to keep thinking on it. I don't know. Probably have a solution tomorrow. Tomorrow, I got a big shindig at the hospital, so gonna be out much of the day. But your visits and thumbs are appreciated, so thanks for tuning in. And as we say around here, if you like it, tell your friends. If you don't, tell your enemies. And stay true, stay low. Monkey out, out. I'm not going to walk to the other side of the room. That's where the samplers are. But we now return you to your... Well, actually, I'm going to have to stop the stream momentarily, and then we will return you to your regularly scheduled Jonestown TV. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Catch you around.